To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
When indiscreet doors change.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we've got the guys from the DizPod with us. We've got Cory and Lawrence. How are we doing today, guys?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Fantastical and magical. It's great to be here. Thanks for having us, for sure.
I love to hear that. So today we've got everybody together, and we're going to be we're going to get top fives from everybody about things to do at Flower and Garden. I'm excited about this one. This is one I'm actually going to be going to Flower and Garden this year. And fun fact, I'm basically going just to see Simple Plan because they were a band that I loved growing up. So I'm super excited about that. But there's a lot of other things to do at the parks during Flower and Garden, and we're going to try to go over a lot of that stuff.
Nice. Are you seeing them once or twice?
I think we're probably going to try to see them multiple times. We're getting a room at Beach Club, so we'll be nice and close.
Very nice.
Sounds like a party.
We're hoping so.
Now, you guys, we were on your show a couple of weeks ago, and you guys are on just YouTube, right?
Technically, no.
Oh.
So we are live on YouTube on Wednesday nights, and then the recording goes out to all the audio podcast platforms.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So wherever you find us, we can find you guys. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, are we still on iHeartRadio? The new one's going out there. So we're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably is worth mentioning that Google Podcasts is going away soon, but we're available everywhere else, and I'm sure you guys are too. So wherever people go, they should be able to find us.
Yeah, 100%. If you like on Spotify, go there. If you like Apple, go there.
There you go. So you guys not only are live on YouTube, but you're also doing live streams during the week, right?
Yes. So the basis of the channel is a live stream channel out of Disney World, and we're live 2 to 3 times a week doing that. And we do a really big variety when we're live. I always try to incorporate a little bit of my own formula, which is if I can get my hands on at least one snack or food, get some kind of food item to cross my lips, get on at least a ride or two. I'm talking like a nighttime stream, and show the nighttime spectacular with whatever park we're in, and then maybe a little shopping after that. I like to try to hit all the points and really give that overall experience the best that I can. So that's what we do. And our current schedule is Monday nights and every other Thursday in the Disney parks and every Saturday. The evenings start typically about 6:30 in the evening and go to park close and a little bit beyond. And Saturdays, they start about the 3:00 hour and we'll go to whatever the park closes for that particular park. So obviously Magic Kingdom is usually our much later streams where we end about midnight or something like that. So we invite everybody to enjoy Disney through the eyes of our family has been our motto from day one, and it's a unique YouTube channel because it involves the entire family. My kids have literally grown up on YouTube. My son and my daughter, we're almost 6 years old now, so like the channel, and my wife. So I'm out there solo, family wise, during the week. She's home with the kids, but we're all out there as a family on Saturdays, which makes us unique, and the kids are very involved. We're going through a transitional period at this point, though, where my daughter's older now, so she wants to split off from us and doesn't really have a great interest in the channel right now, where she was absolutely one of the brightest spots in terms of activity being seen, being heard. So she's kind of phasing out at the moment, and we expect my son to phase out too as he's 15. And he'll transition to a husband and wife channel. So kind of interesting times, like no other channel's really gone through that. So, but we have a lot of fun in Disney. I like to think that we bring extra fun uh, to the live streams as opposed to just doing things in Disney.
Awesome.
You are pretty much like living like my goal in life. That is definitely something that we would like to do at some point.
Okay, so you said we would like to do. So your wife is in agreement?
Correct. Yeah, we actually met because of Disney. We both had something Disney on our Hinge profile. She saw. I mean, she's beautiful, so I definitely swiped the correct way, and
Uh-huh.
she connected with me, and then we hit it off like that. So yeah, we're both big Disney nerds. And so she's all in on it too. So I'm a lucky guy to have somebody who is into that the same way as I am.
Oh yeah. How about my wife came to she kind of came to me about it. She wanted to move
Mhm.
from, we were living in Maine. Winters are horrible. You wouldn't know anything about that.
Of course not.
Yeah,
No.
no, not at all.
And she just turned to me one day and she's like, "It's time to go." And I looked at a lot of options, and when I landed on Florida, she agreed hesitantly at first because of the heat, but I convinced her. And I start looking at places away from Disney for some stupid reason, Tampa and some other places. She's like, "No, no, no, it needs to be close to Disney." So we were very mutual in that overall that we moved here for the sunshine and for Disney. And unlike there are channels out there that solely move to Florida because they want to become YouTubers. And that's not the way it ever even happened to us for us. It just kind of happened once we were there. We wanted to
Mhm.
be a teaching channel. I like to call us a teaching channel, but we bring a lot of fun and we love to teach Disney. And when we meet fans in the parks, it's so rewarding to hear the different things that they say. We met a family the other night, and you know, they were like, "Oh, we watch every single thing. We've got our lists." They have lists of food reviews we've done. They know how to get around the parks because of just watching. So it doesn't always have to be like, "Okay, this is what you do, everybody." Just by watching us do and navigate and maybe make a move live where we're like, "Let's go do this." And then it's like, "Oh no, this just happened. Let's do this." They kind of just learn by watching.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like yeah, that's I mean we want to do that so bad. Like it's month to month that we're like, okay, when are we moving to Florida?
Mm,
And it's definitely, I mean, we have aspirations to become like YouTubers, but like at the same time, like we just want to enjoy Disney. And the podcast started as something that like Brian and I we were just talking, and after one session of just getting together and talking, we decided to make a podcast. Um, and so I don't know, we we kind of go back and forth between whether or not like we want to be content creators or we just want to like enjoy the parks. So yeah, we'll see when we get out there, because it's definitely a win. Like it's happening. Like
nice.
we'll try to make it happen. But
It's a balance, and it took a lot of growing pains to figure out how can we enjoy Disney to the fullest and still share it with a live stream in one hand.
yeah,
And I think the family can agree that we do that.
that's good to
So
hear. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, so it's possible for sure. I mean, I want my kids to always know, like, sometimes there'd be times where my son wanted to talk with me and feel like, "Oh, you're talking to the stream. I don't want to interrupt." I'm like, "No, you have something to say it to me. We'll talk. We're live. I'm not going to take away from us. And then there's times I'm lucky if my wife is with me, I can pass the gimbal over to her, and he and I can have a little time together too.
Yeah, I definitely I felt that way. I was hanging out with Coda Bear when I was out in California recently. And it was cool. I was on his stream almost every night while I was in California. And I would feel that same way where it's like, oh, he's doing his stream thing, let him do his thing. But then like every so often he'd bring me into it. So it was cool. I've done little pockets of live streams, but I've never like gone to the parks with the sole idea of like, okay, we're gonna live stream everything that we do, because that's nuts.
We don't normally do anything close to this, but we did a 14 and a half hour live
Yeah.
stream on
Oh yeah.
Saturday.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it was just Cory and Jacob, his son. So Cory's holding the gimbal for 14 and a half hours.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying, when I go, well, last night seemed like it was 10 minutes. I was out there for, I don't even know what, 2-3 hours, and it
Yeah.
felt like 10 minutes
Yeah.
after you come off a 14-hour. So, yeah.
You were meeting Ashley Eckstein on Saturday. I was watching a little bit. It was pretty cool.
That is why we did the 14 and a half hours. So typically, we're there around 3:30, and we fire it up and go to park close with the whole family. But when my son and I decided we wanted to meet Ashley Eckstein, Disney people are crazy. We didn't know what time we should show up to the park, but we did know if we showed up after it opened, we wouldn't even have a chance to meet her. So we decided ultimately to get there about 40 minutes before they would allow cars in. And and it worked out. We parked over to the side, and security eventually came over and they said, you can't park here in front of the gate. So we circled around and came back, and then we were able to get in within a couple minutes or whatever. And Disney handled it so well. They actually had separation for the people who just wanted to meet Ashley Eckstein compared to the early park guests. It was really, really crazy. If you want to see video of that, I'm trying to get the blog out for tomorrow, but I show the crowd. I'm like, look, we're in here before early park guests, and there was only like 200 of us. They scanned our bands and put us in a small line, took us in the park. We got to line up outside of Keystone Clothiers and casually go in by the handfuls to get the exclusive merch debuting that day. You just felt like a VIP,
Wow.
and got to go in. And my two goals I told Lawrence was to be able to speak like Yoda to her, which she loves. She's like, oh my God, that's so good. And to be able to give her the gimbal, actually grab the live stream and talk to my audience, and she did. So we had a lot of fun with that. So that's why I figured I'm not going to go live in the morning and share that and then come back later. So I'm like, I guess we're going 14 hours. Well, not even that. I left it up to my son, who totally could have said, you know what, Dad, after dinner, let's just go home. But we played it by ear, and eventually what they did do at night was they did a whole lightsaber meetup. That was part 3 of our stream, and to see hundreds of lightsabers all in one spot with like a Millennium Falcon backdrop, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
So we watched for 2 groups. They must have brought in 7 groups, Lawrence. I'm not even I wasn't counting, but that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And we saw 2, and they did the same thing. Ashley comes running out to surprise the group. She talks to them for a moment about what Ahsoka Tano means to everybody and how she lives in all of us. She's really passionate about that character. And I was able to let her know that I noticed that, and I appreciate that. And so we watched 2 groups come through, and I'm thinking, all right, you want to go? And I could see in his eyes he wanted to see them all. So I hung up top above him on a balcony, and I told Lawrence, not only because it was like, I mean, if we were doing something else, I would have talked more, but for that last like hour and a half had to be the least amount of time I've ever talked on a live stream, because I was just allowing people to watch the whole process over and over again. So ultimately, really fun time. And we came off of that, believe it or not, and I'll stop talking about this, saying we're going to do another 14-hour, and it's going to be at Hollywood again. It's going to be, and again, it's kind of because we're forced to do it in a way, because we're going to do it on May the 4th. And that's another one of those things. If you want to get into the queue early enough to get the May the 4th merchandise, you have to be there at rope drop. So told my wife, she's never done one that long. I'm like, buckle up, camper. You're doing a 14-hour. And it'll be a lot easier. And I'm so excited for this because Lawrence is going to join me in the parks for that, as well as some other friends. So I'll be able to pass that gimbal off as well here and there for a little bit, and just enjoy the crowd that'll be traveling with us that day.
Well, we'll be there. Kristen and I will be there on the 10th, not for the 4th, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll be there in May.
Okay. It'll be great to meet you guys in person if we get a chance to do that. Yeah.
And you're coming before that.
Yeah, we're going to be there in like 10 days, Bryan.
Yep, 10 days. Kylo and Kristen, you're joining us for 4 days, 5 days, something like
Yep.
that. And then we're going to be there all week. So I'm hoping we can cross paths somehow.
Yeah, just message me and I'll have a clear indication as to where I'll be on those specific days. Like usually it's subject to change, but I usually schedule out a couple weeks at a time. So
Nice.
if we're actually about right there, maybe when we're done, I can look at my calendar and see where I plan to be.
Kristen,
Because
I'll be there
Yeah.
on the 9th and 10th of February. I surprised Cory with that news
Oh,
the other
sweet.
day because the annual pass holder magnet, the Hey
Yep.
Hey magnet came out. So we are driving down from North Carolina essentially just for the magnet.
Nice.
that's dedication right there to the magnet.
I was gonna say, Cory, Kristen and I have gotten pretty good at creeping on live streamers and figuring out where they are. So if we see that you're live, we may just track you down.
You're welcome to do that. You're welcome to do that. My
Nice.
typical nights out, like I said, every Monday, every Saturday, and every other Thursday, typically.
Cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the just so everybody knows, the 10th is my birthday, so that's kind of why we're going. But yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's February?
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully
I
we'll
didn't
be able
even
to
know
get.
that. And I planned it just
Yeah,
for you.
exactly. You knew.
There you go.
Cool. Well, let's go ahead and actually get to what we said we were going to talk about. Not that this conversation isn't awesome, but yeah, we're talking about top 5 things each that you like to do at Flower and Garden. And I like to throw this on my cohort all the time, but I'm going to say, Bryan, why don't you go first?
You always do. Yeah,
I do.
but that's okay. So, yeah, my top 5 things that I always look for. I think number 1, and I don't know that these are necessarily ranked, but number 1 for me is the flower quilt along the pond over near the Imagination Pavilion. The Flower and Garden Festival, I think Epcot's at its prettiest. And I really enjoy seeing everything that the Horticulture Club can do. And I think that quilt is always amazing to see. So that would be the top one. Then I would also say Violet Lemonade, because when I've had it, it's always been a hot day and it's always nice and refreshing. So definitely get one of those. The butterfly landing is always a lot of fun. Lots of butterflies flying around, and just a unique thing to do that you don't really get to do that many places. So the Encanto topiaries, those came out last year, and I thought they were quite awesome. The way they've progressed on creating these topiaries has been just amazing to me. The way they can create these faces now are incredible. So I always enjoy seeing them, but I thought the Encanto ones were really neat. And then the last one for me is the Enchanted Tea Garden in the UK. The Twinings building behind it, they'll have a little walk, and they have they have great big teapots that are planted, or teacups, I guess. They're planted with different tea plants, and they have them all marked like what it is. So I've been a tea drinker, and I enjoy seeing that. It's a fun little walk to go through. They used to do tours, but they don't do that anymore. So just some of the things that I enjoy about Flower and Garden. How about Lawrence? What do you got?
So, it's funny you mentioned the quilt. That is one of the most beautiful parts of it, and I didn't even think about that in preparing for tonight. So I'm glad you mentioned that. For me, I'm going to say the butterfly garden is just amazing to go through. I remember the first time we did it, it was like, wow. Like you said, where else do you get to do that?
Yeah.
So I have a 4-year-old. She'll be 5 in February, and she loves to do the scavenger hunts in Epcot. In fact, she was disappointed the last time we went. There wasn't a scavenger hunt going on, so we did KitKat in its place. So for me, I'm going to say Spike's pollination exploration scavenger hunt, so that she can do that. Here's a tip: if you're going early the festival, you're much better off because all of the flowers and bushes and everything grow around Spike, so it's going to be much harder to find him later in the hunt.
So it depends on your level of difficulty, what you want there.
Yes. Yeah, you wait until
that's
the
funny, yeah.
end, and yeah, you get a level 7 as opposed to level 2. Yeah. So, I'm gonna say for my fiance, Catherine, who loved this last year, the chicken and waffles at Honey Bistro. She really liked that last year, so I'm gonna throw that in there for her. And then the topiaries, amazing. I know this year they talked about doing Tiana and Princess and the Frog based topiary, so that'll be nice to see. I did love the Encanto ones last year. And then for me, the last one would be the merchandise. I like seeing the special merchandise that they have for the Flower and Garden, especially because it's Orange Bird. My daughter was just wearing an Orange Bird dress yesterday to school, so so yeah, that would be it for me.
Yeah, we love the Orange Bird here too. We've got, I don't know, we've got both of those sippers they put out, and we've got a whole corner of a shelf that's just all Orange Bird crammed together as best we can to keep it all together. And yeah, it's hard not to enjoy the merch when Orange Bird's all over it.
That's
I have an
true.
Orange Bird sipper behind me, and I think we have a cup somewhere. So yeah, totally.
Do we think Orange Bird is overrated or underrated? Not overrated. Do we think he's underrated? Because I don't know though, because it seems like everybody seems to love Orange Bird.
Yeah, we're in our family, we're a huge Orange Bird fans. And I don't know. So like the history behind Orange Bird was that he was kind of like a Florida thing, right? And
Yep.
Yes.
wasn't he kind of like started wasn't it Adventureland? That's why his statue's over there for the 50th.
It was a partnership with the citrus growers that he was created for.
Yeah.
To push Florida orange juice, and
Yes.
they brought him back.
We did a podcast on the history of the
There
Orange
you
Bird.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a pretty cool character, and I'll tell you what, if they, you know how for Jollywood Nights they surprise everybody with certain characters, man, if they did a meet and greet for that line would be so long.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think you're onto something there.
Hey,
That would be great for Flower and Garden.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
You know, the Orange Bird, underrated, overrated. I think what they're doing with him is just right. I don't want to see it get overdone, I guess. So I don't know that I want to say how he's rated, but I don't want him to be burned out. They like to do that with things. So the way they're pushing him right now, I think, is enough.
So then, if I'm reading you correctly, are you talking about Figment, kind of the way that they're pushing Figment?
You are in my head. Exactly what I was going to say. Like sometimes I get a feeling like they are pushing Figment a little bit too much. I get it. He's the mascot for Epcot, but at the same time, I just feel like sometimes are we doing just a little too much of Figment?
And it's funny. So I say that, Brian, because I thought that was the road that you were going down. But I'm a Figment fan. Like I very much enjoy Figment, even kind of before he started to blow up, and even as he started to blow up, like with the popcorn buckets and everything. Still a Figment fan. But like when they, I don't know, like when they came out with the meet and greet and everything, and I was kind of like, oh, like are they, like they're really leaning into this, aren't they? So like, yeah, I mean, I'm a fan, and I'll love whatever they do with Figment, but I also kind of see that other side where I'm like, they're doing a lot of Figment, so yeah, it's. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, Brian, with Orange Bird and everything, and how like they're doing it just right, where they're not like burning us out with it. And I think Disney adults like us really appreciate it, and then I think the underratedness kind of comes from people who just don't know Orange Bird, so they won't see like the little statue, or they won't see like how he's like promoted in this. They just see like an orange bird and they don't really get it. So I think the way they're also doing it lends really well to like the people who know Orange Bird and like enjoy Orange Bird. So I think, yeah, they're doing a great job, and us Disney adults who like actually know Orange Bird get really into it. Whereas Figment's kind of become mainstream, and they've like really like pushed Figment a lot. So yeah.
Orange Bird used to do meet and greets.
Yeah.
I think I've seen pictures of this. Yeah.
And
That
he
was back
wasn't
in the
so
day, right?
Yeah.
and he wasn't so cute. The early renditions of him were pretty scary. They wouldn't be selling a lot of sippers,
No.
looking like he did. Although it was probably more acceptable in the 70s to look that way, and
Yeah.
it looked like it would scare kids.
The first Mickey at Disneyland was terrifying.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, just
Oh, yeah.
skipping through
It's
Disney.
like a paper mache
Disneyland.
head. Yeah.
Yeah,
But going back to Figment real quick, I'm almost resting on this because people keep talking about wanting or that this rumor of getting rid of the Imagination Pavilion as it is, getting rid of Journey into Imagination, and Inside Out is usually thrown out as the replacement. But with them leaning so hard into Figment and pushing him to where he's at now, I can't imagine letting this ride go at this point. It just loses context for who the character is now if you were to do that. So I hope that they would revamp the ride, maybe get Dreamfinder back. There has been talk of a movie or a TV series on Disney Plus. I think that would help that a lot. So I hope that something like that comes along.
I think you're right, Brian. I mean, it's all about there's a ride, and it's all about merch,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing else to put with it. Like we've never really, correct me if I'm wrong, we've never really seen stories or movies or shorts or anything with Figment, and it's kind of surprising for as long as Disney Plus has been out right at this point,
Yeah.
that we still haven't seen something like that.
The only thing is there is a comic book series out. It's in 2 volumes that you can pick up. Marvel did it.
Bryan
I
would
want to
know
say
this.
10 years ago. I have the first volume. I haven't picked up the second yet, but it's decent.
And last night, although it's small, I did have. Was it last night? Was I out there last night? No, 2 nights ago.
Mhm.
I had the Figment Golden book in my hands, and there were plenty.
Oh yes.
We actually just bought that at Target
Did you?
2 nights ago.
Oh, so you can even get it in Target. It's not even just exclusive to
it's
Disney parks.
Yep.
I got
it's in
mine on
Target.
Amazon.
And what did you guys pay? Because I'll tell you, the price tag in the parks at Epcot right now is $5.99.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's the same.
Funny. Oh, interesting. They didn't mark it up, right? A little
Right?
bit.
You'd think so.
Being in the parks, they probably could get $9.99 for that thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. People wouldn't bat an eyelash at that one.
No.
I don't think.
But I think you're right with the book, and if they do end up doing a movie, now they brought the meet and greet there. I think, and even the backdrop of the meet and greet, Dreamfinder's on the backdrop. So there are little hints that maybe the ride will change, and we'll see some new love for Figment.
So I am actually young enough that, and I've been going to Disney for a while now. I'm young enough to have never experienced Dreamfinder. Like I didn't know who Dreamfinder was until I started watching like Disney history things, and people were talking about like what Journey into Imagination used to be and like how great it was and how people loved it. Like, so I don't have this affinity for Dreamfinder the same way like other people do who like remember Dreamfinder and everything like that. It looks cool, but I just don't. I just don't have any attachment to any of that.
I'm with you. I was a late bloomer when it comes to actually going to Disney, so I did not have the chance to go on Figment when it was with Dreamfinder. So same thing. Like I just don't even really know what the whole experience was like.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really got to get out there and get that comic book because it's mostly about the Dreamfinder, and it really
Oh, there you go.
gives you a little bit of attachment to him. I also do not know the old version of the ride. I didn't make it to Disney World until I was 19, I think. So that he was long gone by then, right? So yeah, but I really enjoyed the book and getting to see him in some light. So
That's interesting. So I am the only one of the four of us that did actually ride the ride in that first version. I did not ride the second version, which I think is widely the most hated version of the
Yes,
movie.
that's what people say.
So I didn't get to ride that one, but yeah, it would be nice to see some Dreamfinder love. I might have to find that comic book series.
I've
then-
seen. Oh, go ahead, Corey.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, just lost my thought for a second. I did a charity event several months ago with Tony Baxter, who is a legendary Imagineer, and I was amazed at how much smack he talked about the newer Figment. He's like, "Hey, Disney can't fire me. I don't care. I don't work for them anymore." He's like, "It's horrible," and I was like, "Wow." He just really despises anything other than the original that he created.
yeah, I could see that too. I mean, they're destroying your creation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or changing it. I shouldn't say destroying it, but changing it.
Maybe destroying in his mind.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, I enjoy that ride. Like, it's not like a must ride. If it's like over 20 minutes, I'm probably not getting in that line. but like, it's a good ride to go through, and it's so fun. It's crazy to hear people be like it's a travesty. Like, what it was before was so much better. So it's like, it really makes me think, like, what was this ride like when it was like in its heyday and people just loved it? Because what it is now is pretty cool. Like, there are some cool moments in it, and it's like cool to have like Figment, and like the idea, kind of the story that's woven into it, is fun and unique. But yeah, just there is kind of like a visceral hatred for that ride, for people who have like ridden the original. So that is something I've always been interested in, to like see like old ride throughs and stuff like that of what it used to be. But yeah, there's just like people don't like it.
The current ride is cool, except for the creepy moon. Just can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
I just don't get it.
I can't help but say it just about every time I show that on a live stream. What do I usually say, Lawrence? I'm going to quiz you. I say it enough.
Oh, I don't remember.
I just say, "All right, everybody, get ready for the creepiest thing in Disney." It really is creepy.
Yeah.
I think there's a
Figment
lot of
to me,
nostalgia to it also, and that's why
Mhm.
everybody's hung up on, you
Yeah.
can't change my ride because that's what I grew up with. And I think a lot of that is, people will not let it go because that's what they grew up with. They remember as a 7-year-old getting on that ride and loving that ride, especially in Epcot, because back then in the 80s, there was a lot of edutainment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the fun ride there. So I think that's that's a lot of that reason.
Well, let's again let's get back to your regularly scheduled top 5. I'll go. And I mean, I've got a lot of similar ones as other people. I'm going to start out with the Garden Rocks, and I'm super excited about this. Like I mentioned before, Simple Plan is going to be playing, and they were one of the bands that I grew up with. They were one of the bands that first got me into like pop punk music. It was like Blink-182, Simple Plan, like they were like right there. And so like being like that's insane to me. This is a band that I would pay tickets to like go and see them in a show, and I can just show up to Epcot one day and like see them perform. Like, one of my favorite bands in my favorite place. Like, it's gonna be a really great day. So I think that's awesome, and this concert series is really cool. I love how just kind of like I've been here before, and the way that they do it is like their big acts are on the weekend, so they'll like bring in like bigger acts, And then during the week they'll actually have like local bands come and play, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's like this whole series is a lot of fun. Just like actually having like these like huge. I think like Smash Mouth came or is coming at one point. So it's like big acts. So I think that's really cool. The food, obviously, of Flower and Garden. The big standout for us was Brunch Cot. Brunch Cot is awesome. Like oh my god, the eggs Benedict that they had was so good. But just kind of like everything that they had at Brunch Cot was really good. Um, the merch, we've kind of talked about that already. But yeah, Orange Bird, and then my wife has like she has like a bunch of the garden stuff. She's got like the Crocs that she bought there, and something we like about merch is like when they come out with like specific merch for some of these festivals, like Food and Wine merch, even like festival of the holidays merch. We're we're merch aholics. Like we are constantly like stopping and trying to find merch. And it's difficult living out in Wisconsin, and like when they drop merch and you just want to like run out to the park and go pick it up. The worst is when you get to the park and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we had that last week." And it's like, "Ugh, of course." But yeah, merch is a big thing for us. Garden Grays, that's really cool. That's the Flower and Garden equivalent of like the completer prize type thing, where like you get I think Emil's Fromage Montage is the Food and Wine one. But yeah, it's you get a certain type of food at like each booth, and then you get your completer prize, which is usually some sort of like sweet treat or something like that. We love like the little mugs that you get for the completer prize. We sometimes we'll drink wine out of ours, the one that we have. But yeah, and then the last one is the Butterfly House. I forgot exactly what it was called, like the Butterfly Landing.
Yep.
Yeah. That was always really cool to go into and see because and stuff like that. It's because they have booths all the time. They're gonna have booths. They're gonna have food. These are things that happen in these festivals a lot. But having something like that is just set up specifically for Flower and Garden is always really cool. They have stuff like that for other things, but I feel like things like that like they set up specifically for those experiences is a lot of fun. And I mean, Flower and Garden isn't my favorite festival, but it's funny. It's got the Garden Rocks portion of Flower and Garden. I think is my favorite part of a festival. But I mean, Food and Wine's got the food. Festival of Holidays has the holidays. Festival of the Arts has all the art happening. They all kind of have like something really cool. Um, but yeah, that's my top five.
Is there anybody else performing in the Garden Rock series that you would have gone to see?
I actually think there was an older band. I forgot what they were called, but it was a pretty big band that I was like, oh wow, they're playing.
Hmm.
Oh, last year, I think members of Chicago played.
Wow.
So it
They
was
did.
like, yeah. I don't think it was the whole band, but I remember seeing that and being like, oh, like that would definitely be something I go to too.
Side note, I saw Chicago here in Wisconsin a couple of years ago now. That dude's 80 and he's killing it like it's 1962. Like
Wow.
it's unbelievable what that band can still do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's one of my mom's favorites, though. They performed here in North Carolina a few years ago, and she went and absolutely had a ball.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway. So Cory, we haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, so I'm pretty basic. I liked some of the things that you all pointed out though. Bryan pointed out, and I didn't even know that's what they called it. What did you call it? The flower quilt? or something like that.
That's how I've always referred to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's a great name. It looks like a quilt. That thing is my arch enemy when you have allergies that act up. Oh my god.
Oh
When
no.
I'm at Flower and Garden for the first day or second day it's there, oh boy, do I go home with some
You probably
with
have some really great tips about doing flower and garden with allergies. That's actually a great idea.
well, here's one simple tip. Take your allergy medicine before you go. So we'll test it. I'm on some new stuff, so we're going to see how that goes when Flower and Garden opens for sure because Florida has really kicked my butt lately. And I think we finally got it under control. So we'll see. Because I like to go over there. I like to go over there and smell the flowers, show those live. It's just such a beautiful thing to share with your audience. So that is, I have to claim that as one of my favorite things to do too. I'm just in awe because I get to see what they do at the beginning and at the end of that thing. It's just grass. It's just grass one day, and like 2 days later, whatever. It might not be that quick, but just several days. You go back the next week, and boom, it's a flower
Yeah.
quilt. It's so beautiful. So that would be in my top 5. And for me, I'll skip. Number one, like you said, every festival has food, but I'm all about the food. I get so excited about that. Probably a little bit more motivated because of what we do on our channel. We try to review as much food as possible. I'm the self-proclaimed. Am I self-proclaimed, or does everybody just,
I
know
think
me
it's
as
self-proclaimed. Yeah.
the goat of Disney? I eat everything. So I'm currently making my way through Festival of the Arts right now
Mm.
and tearing up a bunch of that stuff. So love the food. Food is always first for me. I always like to see who's participating in the concerts. I feel like you get the best variety of performers at excuse me, food and wine. But yes, you can find like plain white teas or
Mhm.
there every year. Simple Plan has been there several times too. I don't know if you
I'm
knew that.
hoping they just keep that going too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the music isn't as much of a priority for me because there's not a lot of groups uh that I particularly want to see in that particular festival, but certainly pay a little bit more attention to that when food and wine come around for sure. Love the scavenger hunts. So I would put that on my list as well. That's always fun. I always think I'm never really sure if it translates well during a live stream to do that because we're looking around in real life. We have a lot more range of view. I try to show the stream kind of where we're looking, but there's always people don't pay attention. You tell people, don't give away the answers. And if you happen to glance down in chat right away, boom, oh, Spike, he's in the rose garden. Come on, man. I just told you. I just told you. If we call for a hint, you can give us a hint, but don't tell us the answer.
Moderator's got to be fast.
Right.
Yeah. So I like these scavenger hunts. And the merch is always right up front for us too. We are merchaholics as well. It's automatic that when something new comes, it's open up the pocketbook, and it's mutual between my wife and I. So we just dropped a bit of cash. I think in what? Well, maybe 3 weekends, 2 out of the last 3, because Festival of the Arts opened, but then we had the Ashley Eckstein Ahsoka collection drop last week. So you're dropping several hundred here and there when that happens, So and of course in between, Disney always. Let me tell you something. Right now, I have never seen this much merch being dropped in the Disney parks as there is right now. And if there ever has been, it's only because we're so used to post COVID where I feel like merch was really held back for quite a time. Maybe pre COVID, it was happening like this, and I just don't remember. But I mean, I'm going in almost every time I'm in the parks. There'll be times where I always like to show a moment of shopping because I know there's a large part of the audience that likes it. But sometimes I'll preface it with, and and I know better than this, but there's probably not going to be anything new. We were just in there last week. Huh, let me tell you, every time you go in, there's a full on collection lately. There's the Disney Eats collection right now. There's the Disney Parks collection, which I have
Yep.
the hat right behind me, where they have all the embroidered park icons on everything. I don't even know what I would call this one. It's kind of like it's big close-ups of Mickey and Daisy and Minnie, t-shirts, just basic art.
Mhm.
Like it almost makes me feel like how they drew them in the 90s maybe and stuck them on a
Mm.
t-shirt. Like there's that whole collection. And what? Another Loungefly collection. I don't know if they're calling that Peach or something.
Yep.
There's there's even more than that though. There's just so much merch. So yeah, we're merchaholics. So whenever a festival comes around, it's all about we got to see what the Spirit jersey looks like, and my wife has to see what the Loungefly looks like, and I got to see if there's a baseball hat, and there's we just love it. We love it, and we love Orange Bird, and we love that they're including him in that merchandise. So I don't think we've seen what the merch is going to be yet, right? We haven't seen any merch previews for Flower and Garden, or am I wrong?
Very small, I think.
Yeah, I think I've seen like one or two things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've both had Orange Bird on them.
Oh,
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. And so let me see. Is there anything else I need to include? I talked about how important the food is. The merchandise is a must. The topiaries. Always make a priority to show those each and every time we're there to show the topiaries. So I'm a little bit more basic. And I have to say too, the butterfly garden is important to visit too. Maybe at least 35% of the time that we do visit Epcot because uh, when I go at night, it's closed. But when we do go a few times on a Saturday, we always try to check out the butterfly garden. And I just love to see, she's 17, she was 16 and 15. I just love to see the joy on my daughter's face as she enjoys the butterflies. And she was the first one to say, "Let me see if I can get one to land on me." I'm like, "Oh, that won't happen in a million years." And boom, landed right on her, and we got some great pictures. So uh, those would be my favorite things to do. And I have to ask you, Kylo, what is brunch caught?
So Brunchcott is one of the booths, and it's up front, kind of over by, I think it's like in that test track area. And I think
Okay.
this is it's one that they construct. I don't think that booth is always there. Um, but yeah, it's so Brunchcott. Yeah, it's up towards the front, and it's got all brunch food at it. I know it happened last year. I don't think I've seen anything talking about what booths they're gonna have this next year. But it was a must for us. We liked everything that we had at Brunch Cop when we went there. Um, yeah, I'm a huge Eggs Benedict fan, and they had Eggs Benedict there. I think they also had some like crazy seafood dishes for brunch, so it's like fancy brunch.
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah.
I have the menu from last year. They had the avocado toast, if you remember that one
Hmm.
Oh, I've had
Yeah.
it.
being pushed. Yep, that was the one. They had shrimp and grits,
Hmm.
Loved it.
lox Benedict on everything focaccia,
Yep.
fried cinnamon roll bites. Oh, this is where the Fruit Loops shake was.
Oh yeah.
They had a peach Bellini and some Joffrey's with Kahlua rum in it.
Okay, so I've actually eaten there and eaten most of that. So
Yeah.
it was all pretty good. I went back. The thing in that booth that I did go back for multiple times was the shrimp and grits.
Mm.
Really good.
So it was the locked Benedict that I had, which was like I remember something being weird about that Benedict, and it was like salmon or like whatever fish that is, but it's like a fishy Benedict, and I was kind of like because I mean I enjoy seafood, but I was kind of like, oh, this might be kind of weird. And then once I started eating it, the sauce that they have for it was so good. I was just soaking that in everything. And so I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I'm a Benedict fan. So I had to get, if it has Benedict in the name, I'll get it. And so that was an interesting take on a Benedict dish.
All right. Well, if it's there again, I'll make sure I check that one out because I think I missed that one.
Yeah, give it a try. You won't regret it.
All right. Deal. So those are the things I like to focus on at Flower and Garden for sure.
Let me ask the two of you, what do you think of the epic news that came out today?
So, I mean, it's cool. And I mean, I'm not like against other parks. We'll go to Universal. By the way, everybody that's listening, that's what we're talking about. Epic Universe. We'll go to Universal every so often. We're big Harry Potter fans, and so we went and we did that a while ago, a couple years ago. Did the whole Harry Potter experience. But yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. It's interesting, all of the different IPs that they're bringing together, like How to Train Your Dragon and everything like that. I think that's pretty cool. But I have it on good authority. I can't say whose authority. I have it on good authority that Disney is toying with a fifth park, and that's all I can say.
Okay, I
So,
like that. We just came
yeah.
off our podcast, and I talked about that. I said after this news breaking this week, Disney can no longer turn a blind eye to this. They have to step up. There's not even a choice. I don't care if you have to go to the banks and beg for loans. Like, you have to get another park up. At first, I don't know what I was thinking when they announced Epic Universe. I think just in my mind, I just kind of thought, even though I knew it was an all new park, I didn't take it super seriously as being a major, large park.
Mhm.
But this thing is massive. It looks like it's going to deliver. And it's to the point where Disney can no longer ignore this. They have to respond. We know financially the parks are doing very well, and it's carrying, the Disney media and all that right now. But they need to find a way to get that fifth park up.
Yeah, and so I mean, I know very little. This is coming from an unnamed source, but from what I understand, this fifth gate has been in consideration for a lot longer than when kind of this Epic Universe announcement came out. My friend had been telling me about a possible fifth gate for a while. And the big reason he knows is because he's speccing things for it. Like they're to that point in the production of the park that they're looking to spec things. So it's been in the works for a while. But that's as much information as I have. And I in my mind have been speculating, like, oh, is it going to be like a villains park? Like, I know
That's what
people have
everybody
been,
goes to,
yeah,
right?
yep.
Villain.
That's kind of always been like the go to, like, oh, that's going to be the fifth park. But I feel like then it's just a dark Magic Kingdom, and like we have a Magic Kingdom already. So I'm not sure exactly what they would do with something like that. I enjoy probably one of the parks that is super underrated but is done so well is Animal Kingdom, and that's because there's no other park like that. Like there's nobody else putting up a theme park that has to do with animals. So I keep kind of thinking, like, what's something that they can push the envelope with that's going to be completely different from all of these other parks. Like, they've got their Hollywood Park, they've got their Magical Park, they've got their futuristic park, and they've got their annual animal park. Like, what's the other like building block that they can make like this huge mesh network of like all of these parks? Because I don't know, it just can't be a cookie. Like, they can't try to put a California Adventure into Disney World. Like, that cannot happen. So
It is interesting, right? It'll take a lot of imagineering to come up
Mhm.
with, but I'm with you on something like that. If they can come up with something that is unlike anything else, it'll be a smash hit.
Oh yeah.
What
Smash.
if their answer is beyond Big Thunder and redoing Dino Land? I look at um Animal Kingdom, and you can't spend a whole day there. I mean, people do, but a lot of people look at it as a half day.
It's
Um,
it's one of those parks that when it closes at 8, you're not that sad about it because if you showed up in time, you basically can get everything done.
Mhm.
right, right. I feel like Hollywood Studios isn't complete. It's just got too many big ones going on, and they're letting so many people in there right now that it needs work. It needs more capacity.
Mhm.
We did our episode a couple weeks ago. By the time people are hearing this, about getting rid of the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and there's a lot of space there that could build a lot of capacity into that area. Um, so those two are on their own, and they've been throwing out this Beyond Big Thunder thing for a little while now, and you know who knows what they have in store for that, what that could actually end up being. I'm skeptical of whether they can support a fifth gate. I would love to see a fifth gate. I think it would be the greatest thing for us fans to see a fifth gate, because it gets people out of the other parks. And I think Epic Universe, we watch Ron on the Go a lot as well, and he's often said Epic Universe will be visited when it's first opened, and then it'll be nothing. Like, people aren't going to care as much. Um, I don't know what this news does to his thought on that, but I could see that. Like, they have been taking a cut of Disney's market share, though, so that something has to be done. I don't know that they're ready for a fifth park, though.
I don't know
Again,
if Ron goes to Universal, but I do, and those parks are busy. The wait times are long. Those parks are busy. So I think people are going to embrace Epic Universe, and I think they're going to frequent it quite often. So
I think
uh,
Super Mario World is going to bring in the crowds alone. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Mhm.
the people that are going for Super Mario World may not be going for some of the others, but you've got Super Mario World on one side of the park and Harry Potter, Wizarding World and Harry Potter on the other. Yeah, that park's going to be busy.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what they've done so well is have all of these fandoms have a place, and that's why we will go to Universal like solely for Harry Potter. Like there's other places in Universal that are cool. Actually, I enjoy the Jurassic Park area because I'm a Jurassic Park fan. But that's the thing, is that the last time we went, all we did was Harry Potter. So they've been doing a really good job of finding these fandoms and kind of giving them a place to be excited. So I feel like, and Disney kind of did that with Avatar. And it's like, I hear people say this all the time where it's like, I wasn't an Avatar fan, but then I went to Avatar Land, and now I'm really into it. And I think that's just a testament to how well Disney did the Avatar Land, like how well that theming was. And I'm in that same camp where it's like, yeah, Avatar is a good movie, but I wouldn't consider myself an Avatar fan. But going to that park at night and being in there is so cool. And those two Flight of Passage before um, before Guardians of the Galaxy came out was probably the ride that I thought was the most technically um, like just the the tech that they had in that, and like what they were doing with that ride was like next level. And then they came out with Guardians, and I was like, holy crap, this is insane. Um, so yeah, I feel like they did a lot of good stuff with that, and they were kind of doing that, like giving fandoms a place to go. But yeah, I just and Star Wars, obviously, like that's just like that's the pinnacle of like having a fandom and like giving them a place. So I think that's big. They may want to figure out a way, kind of the same way that Universal did, was like expanding on that. Um, and that's with Star Wars and like doing all of that. I think that's the next step of like kind of expanding. Maybe kind of just knocking down that hotel in the back and just making all of that Star Wars. Um, but I mean, I don't know about that. Um, but yeah, I just Universal does that very well with their fans, and like having Harry Potter and now having Nintendo. That's honestly, it's pretty genius on their part.
I think what's interesting is go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think what's interesting about Epic Universe, which just dawned on me, is there is no trace of minions over there. Because we feel like anything that's been new lately over on the Universal side is all about the minions, which
Mhm.
we love minions, but still a little bit bitter that they took Shrek away. I mean, taking Shrek away to me out of Universal is like taking Figment out of Epcot.
Mm.
I really think he was kind of the symbol character of that area, but yeah, just an observation with that. But I has also thought, because the easy thought for everybody for a fifth gate is the villains, which I think would be pretty cool. But and I don't know if this would match well, but and I know there's restrictions in Orlando, but if we could have a Marvel park, that would be off the chain.
Honestly, I think, and so this is what's great about Florida is they have space. Like they have spots where they can just put these parks. Whereas like in California, there's zero they had to make space to have like that Marvel campus. Um and so that's what sucks about this deal. Um and if you don't know what we're talking about, basically, um when Disney bought Marvel, there were already Marvel characters in Universal, in Orlando. So I believe the way it works is it's like divided by the Mississippi, where it's like, um, on the left side of Mississippi, you can have Marvel because there's no theme parks that have Marvel in them, and then to the right of the Mississippi, you can't have Marvel characters because they're already in parks over there. So I'm almost wondering if Disney's just gonna find a way around that. Like if they've gone to court or something like that to like make it happen. Because honestly, that would be for me, and I'm not even a Marvel fan, but I know that would be the slam dunk to have like a giant Marvel campus with. I mean, and we went on the Spider-Man ride out in California. Crazy. Like that ride is so cool. Like that, and having that like campus there is it's so cool. It really elevates California Adventure. So just having an entire park of that, I'm just thinking about just like having an Iron Man area, like a Tony Stark area, like that would be so cool. So like I feel like that's the slam dunk that they need. Can they get around the red tape to make it happen?
Well, it's funny, right? Because Universal doesn't have anything to do with the movies. When you walk through Universal, it's strictly comic book.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
why can't they agree on something like that? Universal keeps the comic book style, Disney runs with the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're differentiated enough, and I think that's just Universal just trying to put their feet in the ground and be like,
Yeah.
no, 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 we're going to hold on to this as much as we can. We don't want Disney having this.
So I did hear they're closing Simpsons, right? That area is going to be closed
The
down.
whole area?
I kind of heard
That's
that too from somewhere, but I can't remember where.
I feel like that just went up.
I was listening to Disney Dish with Jim Hill, and that's where I got that. They also said the Spider-Man coaster may have been announced being closed or did
Hmm.
close. I don't follow Universal, so I'm
Oh, you
not
might be
not
talking about the Incredible Hulk.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
it.
there
I
is
don't
a
know.
Hulk coaster, which
There's
is
a
a
Hulk
decent coaster.
coaster and a really cool Spider-Man ride there. I love that Spider-Man ride over there. I don't know if you did that, Kylo. You probably did that. It's
No,
I think it's trackless.
yeah, it's one of those. It's screens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we did that. I've done the Hulk coaster before,
Mhm.
but we didn't do the Spider-Man ride.
If you ever did Transformers over in Universal,
Yep.
it's almost exact to Spider-Man.
Yeah. I've done that before. Kristen has not, and that was because I went to California by
Uh-huh.
myself.
So apparently, the licensing for The Simpsons ends in 2028. So
Oh,
that's where the
yes.
speculation is coming from.
And they were,
Hmm.
I think they said like they were going to decommission it early because Disney owns it, and they're a lot of the people. And again, I'm just spouting what Jim Hill and Len Testa were saying, but they were saying that they were going to get rid of it early because they've got enough IP of their own that they don't need to pay for licenses anymore.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I know this for sure, that the license for Marvel is only on comic book characters, but the marketing piece of it is weird, I think, and you don't get to have, like, I think it's if they appeared in an Avengers movie, they can't be in Florida unless it's with Universal or something like that. But they also cannot change the rides. They can only keep them up. They can't change them.
So Universal. Yeah.
Right. So at
Yep.
some point, they're going to get tired of them being there. So I don't know how long this deal is for. I feel like it's a very long time, but it's very possible that they could eventually get tired of it and say, fine, we're done, because they can't change them.
Well, and I feel that's kind of why I feel like, and if anybody can pull this off, I feel like it's Disney. Like maybe they're behind the scenes making deals. Like maybe they're saying, "Hey, we'll pay you this much a year to buy back um the theme park rights to this stuff," because it's basically just theme park rights that Universal bought, um, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, it's just that's the slam dunk that they need,
It'd
whether
be a
or
good
not
time to do it, right? It'd be a good time
exactly.
to
And
jump
yeah,
in and say, "Listen, you're spending all this money on Epic Universe. We'd like to do a fifth park too. Why don't we work out some kind of financial arrangement where
right,
we
yeah.
can get Marvel from you?" I think that's the way to go. Another thought that I had too, and I don't know if it's too much Star Wars for Walt Disney World, but uh, they could so survive on a park on their own as well. I mean, they
Yeah.
could even combine Marvel and Star Wars. But I thought of this really cool thing a long time ago. One thing you could do, and only Imagineers could come up with this, right? You could do a world showcase, but have it be all the different Star Wars planets.
Huh.
And they could be switching the planets out as they are creating new ones for new shows and all that. That'd be something.
Like you could somehow go from this might have to be done indoors, but make you feel like you're outside. You could go from like Hoth to Tatooine,
Mm-hmm.
total
Mhm.
theme change, different merch, different drinks, different foods. I love that idea. I've never heard anybody else say anything close to that.
Well, Disney Springs has a big box full of basketball hoops doing nothing right now. So
Oh
I
man,
don't
that place is
know.
dead. Like, what are we gonna do with that thing?
I know. And it sucks because it was right when the Bucks were getting good. And so it
Ah,
is something now thinking about it that I'd probably go do, but not anymore.
we never really had interest in taking part of the activities they had there.
Yeah.
No, it, I don't know what people. I don't know. That's a whole nother subject, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
But it's really just been sitting there for years now.
Hmm.
So
I like that though. The kind of traveling around like the Star Wars universe and like being at all of the different like hubs. And one other thing, we're going to be way sidetracked. Not really, but
Welcome to the DizPod.
yeah.
This will be
So-
your longest episode ever.
right.
It's getting there, yeah.
But
That's
have
all
you
right.
guys seen? I saw this on Instagram, and it was the Imagineers actually posted it, but I guess they're coming out with a floor that you can stand still and walk around on.
Yes.
It's very much kind of like how like you can see people in VR with those like games that you're kind of like running around, but you're like in one spot. I guess they've come out with a floor that like does that really well. So it's interesting to think about the types of things that they could do with that, both like with VR and kind of like I know that they've created these like hollow rooms where it's like there's projectors on every screen and they can just change the picture of like what you're walking around in. So that's interesting. That's there's always something that these Imagineers are working on that's just insane.
And that floor is coming from the Imagineer Lanny Smoot, who is in the Inventors Hall of Fame, the second Disney cast member to do it, which is second to Walt Disney. So I thought,
oh, there you go.
it was pretty cool. He was surprised when he learned that too, because he thought he was the first. So
He's got pretty good company.
Right?
yeah.
Sure.
So I always enjoy these conversations of Universal versus Disney because before Universal got Harry Potter, they were on the way out. They were having trouble getting people to come to that park at all. And, you know, as much as I don't go to Universal, I mean, whenever Mykhailo brings it up, I usually say, "What's that?" We don't talk about that. You know, I think about the Lion King picture of Mufasa and Simba standing there, and Simba asking, "What's that dark area?" And it's Universal, and he goes, "We don't talk about that. You never go there." But you know, they were on the the outskirt. They were almost done, and Disney messed up the licensing with Joe Rowling, and Universal got it, and it's been a win for us fans ever since. I mean, imagine we're talking about Disney being pushed to make a fifth gate at this point because somebody else is pushing them so hard with the success they're having over there.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, like I said, it's just a win for us fans. We're getting the best out of both of these companies, and they're creating some really great stuff. So, you know, I love having these conversations, and I can't wait to see what we get out of it, because once Disney responds, Universal's going to respond again. And, you know, they love to go back and forth. So,
Yeah, 100%. Competition is always good.
all right, so we covered a lot of topics tonight, but the main one is, you know, the top 10 things to do at Flower and Garden. We want to hear from you. Come on out to Facebook, Instagram, and we're on TikTok. We are heading over to YouTube very, very soon. So come on out there. Let us know your top 10 of things to do at Flower and Garden Festival. Guys, where can we find you again?
You can find us over at the main channel, Living in Diz, D-I-Z. You can also, well, our podcast is attached there as well. Again, if you want audio only, you can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. And our current DizPod goes up live every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We record it live for our viewers that love that. So, and it allows us to interact with them a little bit while we're doing it. So the DizPod is live every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is just a little bit of what we do. It really is. The main thing, our main focus, even though our podcast has 100% focus on it as well, We are live in Disney parks 2 to 3 times a week. Every Monday, every Saturday, every other Thursday, we are live in the parks, and we're covering merchandise, resorts, rides, all the latest foods. You follow us, you will definitely feel like you are in the know all the time with Disney parks, and we like to feel like we bring extra fun to the live streams. We're not just showing the parks; we're interacting a lot with everyone in chat, share personal stories, just try to really make it a family atmosphere. And I can say, and I'm sure Lawrence will agree, it truly is a loving and caring channel too. I mean, it gets a little sappy sometimes, but we love our community and we love our people, and you can see it mutually back and forth. And it's a real big family over there. So even if you've never enjoyed live streams or whatever, I encourage you all to come over and just check it out and see what you think. If you had fun with me, if you had fun with Lawrence, it's the way it goes on the live streams. We just have so much fun.
Yep.
That live stream community in general, I just love everybody on there. I can constantly go into other people's live streams and see people chatting from other live streams, and it's something that I actually really love. So I love checking out your live whenever you were live, and it's a
Thank you.
lot of fun. So yeah, we love it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun. I truly feel like, I mean, technically, physically in person, I've gone to Disney World tons of times alone, but I've never been truly alone.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the ability to share a live stream is this. I even said to my wife, I said, if we won, it was one of these times when the lottery was going crazy nationally, a couple $1 billion or whatever. I said, if we won that, would we stop live streaming? And she thought, and she said, no, we wouldn't, because we love to share Disney. We'd probably do a little less of it, but Saturdays out in the parks, we'd still be live out there, because to me, it's like, the joy. Like, if you guys got to go, I think one of you, I think it was Bryan, maybe in a recent podcast, did you talk about how exciting it was to share a ride for the first time with someone? We all know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel like every time I'm live, even though most people are that I see in chat are our constant people, there's got to be several hundred out there that I am showing something for the first time.
Mhm.
And I maintain that mindset in my head when I'm sharing Disney every time I'm out there with people. It renews things for me. I can go on Small World again on my own, and I'll look around and I'll appreciate it. I'll be really chill. But with the stream in my hand, I'm showing people for the first time every time. So I really like to maintain that in my mind, and it just keeps the excitement going for me as well. One other thing that I can mention is we were lucky enough to have a film company reach out to us, and they were interested in doing a documentary on everything we do, from the family at home to the setup of the live streams, everything I do here in my technical station. Follow us out to the parks. It's a full on 360 view of our family and our history and everything since the channel started. And
Wow.
it is being released this summer. It's on IMDb. You can kind of follow for updates there. And we're excited about it. We're hoping it lands on as many streaming platforms as possible. Prime Video is probably one of those that'll be a lock, but you never know. And hoping for it to land at some film festivals, especially Orlando Film Festival. So that's coming out, and hopefully everybody will come out and watch our story as well. It's currently in production now, so
That's
Current-
very cool.
Filming right now. They're filming us.
well, it's funny you say that, because tonight was the night we did do filming on the DizPod behind the scenes. So I definitely
Nice.
had a camera following me in different directions while we did our thing. So
So cool. Yeah, that's insane. Like that is so cool to hear.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to check that out, because that's really cool.
And I promise my viewers while I'm live, I keep them updated weekly if there's something to update them with. And starting this Saturday, we'll be doing behind the scenes filming in the parks while we're streaming. So we'll be doing some of that too. Sometimes I think we'll be stopping to take some B-roll and then move along forward. So there'll be a little production in the parks in the next few weeks too to
Cool.
wrap that up too. And the cool thing is, my son and I are filming all of it,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
getting sent out to the production company. So after I film, it's been a cool transformation. Like the contract gave me certain things that they wanted, and then I've just been going off track with so many other ideas, and I'm sending them bulk loads of video, and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Just like for example, I finished my live stream at Epcot the other night, and I'm like, "It's so beautiful out here. I'm just gonna stay and take a bunch of B-roll," and I did, and it'll work out. They can work it into the film however they want to do it. I just want to give them a ton so that they can shape the story, and we'll see what they come up with.
Nice.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming out. We had a lot of fun. But like we always say, some live close,
But others don't.
so let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.